Would it surprise you to know that the average Denver home will cost you $928,000 by the year 2030? So that shocking number would cause a lot of people to sweat a little, or maybe to choose a different metro to live in, or to think, I can't do this. Interestingly enough, Denver is the number 11th metro across the country, meaning there's 10 other metros more expensive than that. Half of those in California, several of those with an average price of over $2 million, $2.5 million. Interestingly enough, Denver market continues to have more buyers than we do supply. A house, when it's priced right and staged right, is not only moving quickly, it's moving quickly with multiple offers, which just simply shows you that the demand is here. Cash buyers nationwide are a third of all the buyers per report from NAR. Yet here, the Denver market, it's just over 18% per DMAR. So that number, 18%, is less than the national number, meaning that people are still financing, yet they're still feeling fine with interest rates at almost 7%. People are moving here, number one, from the other 10 metros that are more expensive than here. And yes, we're losing some people, but other folks are able to stay because they've gained the equity in the homes that they've owned for decades, capitalizing on the growth that Denver has seen and able to make that transition. So there's a lot of conversation going on around the inaffordability of home ownership. And I want to dive into that really quickly because the alternative is worse, like a lot worse. So I was actually reading several articles. So not only did Renify put out an article talking about the fact and measuring all of the states and the top metros in what their average purchase price will be in the year 2030. And here's an interesting stat, because there was a lot of conversation about home prices being $1 million during COVID because we were seeing a 44% increase. Now we've given some of that back, but that was still massive, massive appreciation in just a few years. So there were conversations then about if this stays, we could see $1 million in the next, say, 5 years. And that was true, but that was really unrealistic. The idea that we would continue to see appreciation at that level, at that extreme, was unsustainable. But this report, Renify's report, actually, I backward the math on that, and it's actually super realistic. Like, this is not a stretch goal. I love stretch goals. I'm a big fan of stretch goals. This is not one of them. 928,000, if I go from today, the DMAR average home price today per the last month's report is $713,000. Now, this is attached and detached. So detached is even higher than that. Attached and detached is 713. If I take 713 and I multiply it by the historic appreciation rate of 3.6%, which is really conservative. Like, that's like the last 30 years, the HPI, the home price index growth of 3.6% average, not the extreme last 3 years, but the consistent and inconsistent, but the average of the last 30, 3.6. If I take 3.6 every year for the next 7 years, I literally almost nail this 928,000. You know what happens if I do it for 3 more years? I get over $1 million. So home prices on average will cost $1 million here in the Denver market. So a lot of people throw their hands up. I can't afford it. I can't do it. I've got to move, like we started. But I'm thinking, how do I get my kids to buy 3 more homes in the next 7 years so they're taking advantage of this appreciation opportunity? My kids already own 1 home each. I wish they owned more than that, but I can't. They're adults. They're adults. I can't make them do it. They will do it in their time. But if I can help them to purchase 3 more homes in the next 7 years, not only will they be multimillionaires, but that will have accelerated by the opportunity specifically granted to us in a high price market such as Denver. That's how I'm looking at it, because I'm thinking I want my grandkids, which I don't want for a while, but when they come years down the road, I want them to be in Denver. I want them to be close to me. So I want my kids to be able to own a home here in Denver. And if you want the same thing for your kids or your grandkids, you're going to start thinking about that now. Because when they grow of age to purchase that home, they might not be able to. So could that purchase that you make today be an incredible rental, provide you the appreciation, provide you tax benefits through depreciation and through the tax write-offs, and then could you either gift it to your kids, let your kids live in it for free until you pass and giving it to them then. There are so many opportunities and strategies that I would love to sit down with you one-on-one to discuss. But let's get back to the news at hand, because that's the opportunity. I always see the glass half full, and the opportunities are abundant when we take advantage of them. As a good friend of mine always says, there are winners in every market. So after I read the Rentify article talking about Denver's average home price hitting $1 million, I started sleuthing and I found a CNN article. Renters are being hit harder by inflation than homeowners. This was just 6 days ago. I dive into this, and it's based on the data from a Bank of America report that covers July data. So here in July, the July report, they're actually skimming, which this is kind of freaky. I'm just going to own it. I don't own it because it's not my report, but I own the fact that it's super freaky. So Bank of America actually runs reports and data analysis on your checking account and your savings account. I don't have a Bank of America account, but if you have a Bank of America account, they're skimming and they're reviewing your spending habits. And if you're paying a mortgage company or a servicer, they're looking at your spending habits compared to if you're paying rent. So if you're paying HOA or if you're paying a servicer, you're spending differently than if you're paying rent. So based on their study and based on their data release, interesting statistics coming from this. I want to read 2 paragraphs from this. So they say 2 things are causing the split in spending between homeowners and renters. First, while the majority of homeowners' monthly payments have not risen, the cost of renting has surged. Rent inflation jumped from 2% year-over-year increases pre-pandemic to 8.8% in March of 2023. In fact, I just looked at the CPI report, which is where that came from, and it was still 8.7% in May. Now, this is different than apartment list, which is our real rent increases. Apartment list data has been coming down dramatically, but it hit a high in October of 2021 of 18%. So if you signed a lease right about then, you paid almost 20% more than the year before. That is an extreme dent on your spending. The analysis says that homeowner households are not feeling the direct impact from rising rates. Only the handful of total homeowners who got a mortgage after early 2022, or those with floating mortgage rates, which is a very small number, are feeling pinched. Secondly, even if a typical mortgage payment is higher than a typical rent payment, which often we see, especially in the Denver market, because renters' incomes tend to be less than homeowners, more renters put a larger share of their income towards rent than homeowners put towards their mortgage payments. So here's an interesting statistic. 49% of renters are spending more than 30% of their income on their rent alone. Half of those are spending more than 50% of their gross income on rent alone. Think about that for a second. If I'm spending 50% of my gross income, I'm spending 30%, 20 to 30% on taxes. What am I living on? I'm living on a quarter of my gross income. That is no way to live. Alternatively, 23% of homeowners are cost burden or spending more than 30% of their gross income on their mortgage payment. All of this to say, that the homeowners, especially those who own pre-pandemic and refinanced during the pandemic or bought during the pandemic, are locked in at incredibly inflation protection interest rates. But even today, when you lock in an interest rate, even at 6.99 or 6.5 or whatever the going rate is today, your long-term effect of outside economics is less impactful to your household finances. When I have a 30-year fixed, unlike most other countries on the planet, most other countries have short-term mortgages, and a lot of them are coming due right now with interest rates higher, and they have households that are extremely burdened and being forced into renegotiating their mortgages right now, whereas we don't have that. We have fixed 30-year mortgage payments. That is providing stability and security. Renters, although will get a benefit from rents coming down and from inflation coming down, I only pray that they take this opportunity to save to purchase a home, because the economics are something that you cannot control. And so when you let outside forces impact and directly affect your household finances and sway you like the winds on a sailboat, you are at the mercy of the economy. You are at the mercy of someone else, not where you're setting yourself up for success. Interestingly enough, and here's where I'm going to land this plane. Interestingly enough, I love the Gen Zers. I swear I have 3 of them. They are my favorite generation yet. Gen Zers are not letting this stop them. Gen Zers are not letting this stop them. 50% of them are still optimistic about their financial future, and 77% of them have already taken a positive step towards their financial future this year alone. Whether that's saving more money, whether that's paying down their credit cards, whether that's paying off student loans or owning their student loans, or whether that's purchasing a home, those Gen Zers are taking the first step. Guys, this is the time not to be a woe is me, where's the economy going, and I can't afford this. But what are the opportunities in this metro right now that we can set ourselves up for financial success if we jump in today, before the rates go down, before the massive demand comes back, before home prices go further up? Wouldn't you like to be on this side of that versus behind the 8 ball, looking at rising prices and wishing you would have bought sooner? Nicole Rueth with the Rueth team. I hope you guys are making it a great day and a fantastic week.